For more than 2 decades, I have written in a diary almost every single day. And guess what? I saved them all. Each week, I will be reading from these archives and getting to know myself from the lens of my 10, 16, 25, and 36-year-old self. We'll explore big topics such as body image, queerness, divorce, addiction, mental health, and friendship. I'll read cringy poems and attempt to find compassion for the painful tenderness of my younger self. Join the drama of me and my guests as we explore our boy-crazy, closeted, angsty selves, one stupid page at a time. Hello, friends. Happy New Year. I put everything away for the last couple weeks of December and spent a lot of time with family and a lot of time at home by myself and a lot of time with friends and with Shiva, and it was a beautiful holiday. This was my first week back to work, and I did a ton of writing this week, and I'm really happy to just be back to it. If there's some disruptions today in the audio, I'd like to just say that I've got a very needy dog. I have the best, sweetest, most complicated, most high maintenance dog, M.I.A. And lately, M.I.A. has been going through some very severe separation anxiety and doesn't like to be away from me for even a moment. And it's been overwhelmingly sweet, if not slightly inconvenient. I've had to essentially move my office to my living room, and my podcast studio is in my basement, which is where I am now. So if there's some murmurs in the background, it's just my dog kind of shifting and trying to get closer to me, which I love, and I love being close to her. But just wanted to say that. I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just going to let it be. I am excited about today's episode. I am picking up where I left off, which, if you haven't listened to the last episode before my interview with Shiva, I had just lost my virginity Let me try that again. I had just lost my virginity, and I put that journal down thinking, I came to kind of a conclusion, and I actually talked to my bestie about this over the holidays because we had a chance to get together. And she asked me, I was telling her about the podcast episode that I had recorded, and she asked me if I could see the pressure that I felt to have sex for the first time. And it's really interesting because, like, my memory of my relationship with this person, and also my memory of losing my virginity, in my mind, it's always been this kind of like really sweet memory. I mean, there was pain, physical pain, and there was also obvious anxiety that I felt leading up to it. But reading like the actual language of it, I would say that yes, I did feel pressure, and yes, I probably was too young. And I'm also glad it happened the way that it did. It happened in a safe place. It happened with, I think, loving intentions. And it didn't result in me feeling traumatized or, full of regret or shame. So overall, I don't regret it, and I don't want to paint it in this light of our my relationship with this person was really terrible, and therefore it led to a lot of problems for me. I mean, that can have truth in it. But I think ultimately what reading this journal that I'm about to go through has shown me is that we were young, baby. We were young. It's 2004, and I'm 16. I just turned 16, and I was just so young. We both were. I mean, he was a few years older than me, but we were both so young, and this is my first real relationship. The only things I'd had up till now was like this unrequited love, or very casual will they won't they on the fence kind of relationships. Gurnt is the first person that I'm committed to. I think he's the first person that I've truly loved romantically. And he's the first person who has seen me naked, has touched my body. And we shared a lot of intimacy. And some of that intimacy was really good and felt safe and was fun and lighthearted. And a lot of the intimacy that we shared was tense and anxiety-inducing and character building. I'll just say that. All right, let's get into it. So I do want to say that I'm missing a journal, or perhaps I wasn't writing in a journal, or I might have torn pages of this journal out. So the last diary that I found ends like New Year's Day, 2004. And this next one doesn't start until March 22nd, 2004. It would be very unlike me to destroy, lose, or throw away a journal or journal pages, but I can see in the front of this one there are some pages ripped out, and it's kind of hard to believe that those few pages would equal 3 months, but we're leaping through time here a little bit. But I do give a little summary at the beginning of this journal, so that will help. It says, March 22nd, 2004, Dear Book. In my last book, I spent all my time doing one of three things. 1, getting closer to Gurnt, and therefore 2, drifting apart from everyone else, and then 3, trying to fix that. I've created a lot of damage between me and a lot of people. Some of it has been repaired because those people I hurt unintentionally have learned to be happy for me. It kills me to think of losing people. It kills me to think of losing more people. Don't get me wrong, I've made some friends. Melanie, Cam, Nick, but they just don't fill the gaps of the people I miss so badly at times. Jer, Bucket, Jenny, Katie. Sometimes I just cry because I know that with each day, I lose each of them a little more, and one day they'll all hate me for not being here for them, and ... it's just ... hard. This entry is interesting because after on the next page I write, there are a lot of things I've been doing wrong lately, and even though that list is short, it's mighty. I've forgotten a lot about what used to be important. So I'm going through, it's hard to say it because, again, at the time, I want to say I didn't see it. So it's obvious to me, reading back, I'm going through an extremely possessive relationship dynamic. Every time I spend time with my friends, my boyfriend acts out. He either yells at me, he gives me the silent treatment, he ignores me, he stonewalls me. And so I obviously, stop spending time with my friends. And then my friends get mad at me. And I'm in this real, like, it's a hard situation to be in, and very sad, I think. And I never looked at him, like, I never was like, this is his problem. In my diary, I just was like, what's wrong with me? This is my problem. And that's hard. And it's hard. Like, I wish I could say, oh, I didn't see it. I just didn't see how possessive he was. But obviously I did. I mean, it's right here. But I think, again, I was so young, and not only had I never been in this relationship dynamic, but I'd never really seen this relationship dynamic. I mean, my parents, I don't think either of them possesses a possessive bone in their body. That was a hard sentence to say. But I just hadn't grown up with that, like, jealousy and that, those consequences of branching out. And I was always encouraged by my family from very young to, branch out and be myself and make friends. And so entering into this relationship dynamic with this boy, young man, it was so new to me. It was very new to me and very confusing. And I follow that entry with just a list of things I love. And then in brackets it says, about him. I think I felt guilt about writing that diary entry. Like, I feel so guilty about wanting to spend time with my friends. So I make this list of things that I love about him. How he makes me comfortable. How nice he is to his mother. How he hates money. Red flag. Every single one of his thoughtful gifts, his music tastes, how he loves seeing me smile, all our inside jokes, his touch, how he makes my toes curl, the kisses on the cheek, when he bites, when he walks around with his hand around my waist, the phone calls that last a whole day, the play fights, his grin, the back rubs when he plays music for me. So, yeah, it's complicated, I think, and I don't know. It's a trip. It's a trip to read this journal, to be honest. Along with struggling with how to balance friendships with my relationship, I'm also balancing what it feels like to be desirable. I'm starting to, I'm in puberty, and I'm growing into a woman, essentially, and I'm starting to put more effort into, how I look, doing my hair and my makeup, and I still feel very boyish and just supremely unattractive, but boys are starting to notice me, and I'm starting to make these connections with other boys outside of my romantic relationship. And I'm trying to decide what my sort of like morality calculator looks like. What's right, what's wrong, what's okay, what's not, what's in the confines of monogamy. I think if I would have asked my boyfriend at the time what his preferences were, he would have preferred that I just like never talk to any man other than him ever. But obviously that was unrealistic. So, and then there was also a part of me that was a little rebellious, that didn't like being put into this sort of cage and wanted to spread my wings. Not that I wanted to be unfaithful to him, but I just wanted, I wanted it to be okay that I was desirable to other people. And that was a journey that I had to go on and learn. And honestly, I was on that journey for most of my relationship with this person, and then for most of my 20s as well. I was trying to find that balance and what those define what those boundaries were for myself. So here's an example of the early stages of that, not knowing what the boundaries were at all. I said, an almost ironic thing happened today. This is March 25th. I was sitting there bored after getting home from Gurnt's, had a good time, and I went into the box that I have filled with love letters and thoughtful gifts and important things. And as I was doing that, the phone rang, and ta-da, someone I haven't heard from in forever and stopped thinking about long ago. Dave. It was crazy talking to him. We spoke for a little less than an hour, but our conversation went the same way it always does. We make fun of each other. We tease. It's what we've been doing since the day we met. But it was different tonight, though. And then I kind of like outline this conversation that him and I have. So I say, I'm referring to no, actually I'm going to skip that part because it's a side story. So I go into this conversation that him and I have. Me. So before I go, is there a reason you called? Him. I was just seeing if you want to do something sometime. Me. Oh. I thought of Gurnt. Sure, I'll call you tomorrow. I just had to play it cool. Alrighty, bye now. Later, man. It's weird how guilty I feel now. I would never imagine acting on this feeling, but it's just the fact that I have never even had it that makes me feel awful. There's just something about Dave. Sighs. I think the only other guys I've ever seen it for is John and... what does that say? Oh, and Jay. And damn, it makes me feel awful. So yeah, I'm having feels for another boy. And I think I'm scared that I might act on those feels. I feel guilty, but also, yeah, just generally confused, I think. The next couple entries are just me outlining the times that we have together. I wrote a poem for Gurnt that goes like this. It says, "You know it's love when you don't even glance at the TV. The one next to you is all you care to see. 24 hours together doesn't seem like enough. And you can smile and laugh when the going gets tough. You get rid of your pillows so I can sleep on your bed when you spend a whole night in a freezing cold shed. You can talk forever and still have something to say when you can't be apart for even a day. When cooking them breakfast doesn't feel like a chore and a family get-together isn't a bore. You can make them feel mellow with a single touch. I know this is love 'cause I need you so much." Which is kind of nice and also maybe a little bit codependent. I'm also referring to the shed in his backyard because we used to sneak in there to go down on each other. And oh man, the sneaking around we did. And I, like, to this day, I'm like, his parents must still talk about me as just like this little horn dog that their son was dating. Because we thought we were being sneaky, but like we weren't at all. We got busted so many times, and we would I'd like arrive at his house and like chat with his parents, and then him and I would go to the basement to watch a movie and then just like have sex all night when his parents were upstairs. It's crazy. I'm like, moms, lock up your sons. I am extremely disorganized in my attachment style. One day I'm flirting with another boy just to feel like I can have some freedom. The next day I'm missing Gert so much that I start questioning him on his whereabouts. It's very dramatic. It's very dramatic and very tense. So this is April 4th. I say, I miss Gert all day Saturday. I couldn't wait to hear from him, but it was getting late and he hadn't called. He called, but he was at a friend's. I called, but he was at a friend's. So I talked to his dad for a while and waited for him to call me back. He did, and he told me to come over. We talked about our nights, and I'm glad he had fun with Chris and Crystal and Shane, but I wish I could have been there. I told him I missed him, but he didn't believe me. We kissed a little, nothing big, which I think we were both disappointed with. I went to Jay's. It's been a while. It was great hanging out there, but I missed Gert, even though he was right next to me. As I was leaving, I asked Gert what he was doing tomorrow. Stuff, he said. So I gave him a quick kiss and just said bye and came home frustrated and exhausted and really, really high. Today I went grocery shopping with Mom and into the bookstore. It was enjoyable and she let me drive. Oh yeah, at this point I was in driver's ed, by the way. Then I went to work. It was weird because I was alone there and I started thinking about what it would be like to lose Gert and I just started to bawl my eyes out. I don't know. I feel weird. Yeah, there's the next entry. The next entry, we have a small fight because Gert and I are hanging out, and we're hanging out at his house, and he suggests we go for a walk. But really what we are doing is we are going to meet a friend of his because he's a drug dealer and he wants to drop off some pot. I say, it was perfectly fine, him interrupting our night to make a business call. But the only thing that bothered me was that I was standing out in the cold while he sat in the car. Anyways, the next hour is one I wish we could just get rid of. It was weird and I felt very unwanted by him. Like he didn't want me touching him. It was like that for a while and I did everything I could to make myself feel less ugly and more useful. I gave him a back rub, I licked his ear, I made conversation. Then I asked him what he thought would happen when he graduated. We talked about it for a while. He said, "We'll make it. I'll make sure of it, because I'm with you for life because I love you." So yeah, just very up and down. I feel tense just reading that. Because I'm like, oh my God, if that was today, like, the things you put up with when you're young, the things we were both putting up with when we were young, you know, like, yeah, it's just, it's a trip. Oh, snap. I just found something that I had no idea was in this. I don't know why it's in this journal. It's written by my boyfriend when I'm 16 years old. First of all, teenage boy handwriting is always atrocious, but this is like the sweetest and weirdest thing I've ever read. April 7th. Dear Yoda, today I realized how my love for you can't ever die. This I know is not a lie. I wish you knew that when I think about you, nothing but good things happen. For example, I was over at a friend's house the other day, and like always, I was thinking of you. We started to play poker, and on came the song, "Girl, You Really Got Me" by the Kinks, and I started to kick his ass with hearts and clubs. If we were gambling, I would have cleaned house because of you. It isn't because I'm Irish that I'm lucky. It is only because I'm with you that I realize I could never lie or even say no to your very pretty face. When I first noticed you, we were nothing but stoner friends. It is because of that I noticed how much like me you really are. This is the reason I want to spend the rest of my life just by your side and inside your heart. I can only wish that the dreams of us live on. I promise my love for you will never, ever, 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 ever die. Thanks for such good times. Oh, shit. That is so funny. Like, I did not see that the first time I passed through this journal. And yeah, that's... It's very strange to keep those things from old loves, but I'm glad it's in here. There's a lot of things that I didn't keep from our relationship. Spoiler alert, he set them on fire and put them in a box on top of the hood of my car. Spoiler. But yeah, it was kind of nice to read that. The next couple months is honestly just a summary of that first diary entry I read in this book, where I'm literally spending every waking moment with this boy. So basically, I wake up, I go to school, I go to driver's ed, I go to work, and I spend time with Gurnt. There is like no mention of pretty much any of my friends for the next couple months, other than that I miss them terribly. And like I said, I don't think he's 100% to blame. I think he influenced that, and I think he acted out in ways that made me feel like that was my only option. But I also think that I was kind of like willing to lose a lot for him because of young love. And yeah, it's just the next couple entries are just like us fighting and fucking and making up, and young love. I'm not gonna read every entry because most of them are just me detailing our weird sex life. Actually, you know what? It's not weird. It's just young. And I'll just I just found one that I think summarizes just how things are between us. One thing I recognize in this entry is that sometimes I feel like I'm the one who's love bombing in our relationship. Like, anytime he's mad at me, whether it's warranted, I use that in quotations obviously, or not, I like buy him a gift in hopes that will make him not mad at me, which is love bombing, but like, I don't know, it feels like it is and it isn't. So I write 3:26 a.m. on Friday. Sherry and Amanda are over. I miss Gurnt terribly. Just 2 sentences. Then I write an hour later. I just had the first cigarette I've had in over 2 weeks. I actually got a head buzz. Haha, I'm pathetic. I don't know. It's been a cool night, I guess. We picked up Sherry and Amanda. This is with my sister's friends. And we all got really stoned. I've been thinking of Gurnt all night, though. He seemed mad at me at the end of the day. I didn't even get to say bye to him. All I wanted to do every time I saw him was give him a huge hug and kiss, because he looked so good and I wanted him so bad, but he would barely even talk to me. I don't know what I did wrong. Maybe he's mad because one of his friends said something about me being a flirt today. I don't know. It makes me feel heavy. Cool day, I guess. I miss my boys and Gurnt more than I thought I ever would. And then the next day. Last night was interesting. Sherry and Amanda left at 10-ish. I went to sleep for a while, woke up and cleaned. Then I tried getting a hold of Gurnt, but got so sad when I couldn't. He finally called and sounded like he was mad, like I expected. We had what I felt was a very awkward conversation. It sucked, and it made me feel so terrible. All I wanted to do was be with him and talk to him, and then he didn't even sound like he wanted to hang out with me. I went over anyways. When I got there, he still seemed mad, so we sat down and I gave him this picture/sketch of the Beatles. He didn't even seem to like it. We went downstairs and went to lie down. He didn't even touch me. We started watching a movie and he asked what was wrong, so I told him I'm worried. He told me not to be and finally kissed me, but even then he didn't seem to like it. It didn't seem like he wanted me at all. We messed around a bit anyways, and I hope to God he didn't feel emotionless when we fucked, because that is something I never ever want. We hung around a little, things got a bit better, and we started laughing and joking and being ourselves. So we then, sorry, I guess I'll just read this part. Then he got a call, and we went to a trailer to deliver some pot. We were close to Jay, so we decided to walk over, talking on the way, and he asked if I'd ever cheat on him. I guess in a way, I can see why he is worried. I've never been totally true to a guy before. Never cared about them enough to be theirs and only theirs. I've broken a lot of hearts. Like, Yoda, no you haven't. You're only 16 years old. Calm down. But I'm really, really sure that Geraint is different, because I feel different with him than I ever did with Steve or Corey. And I actually want to be with him all night and all day. I want to be around him all the time. I feel comfortable with him in any situation, and I'm myself with him. Plus, we actually have stuff in common. Our love of dope and music and good people. And all of that means so much to me. I am lucky to have all that, and I'd never do anything to fuck it up. At Jay's, we both got half drunk. It was a good time. I saw a lot of old friends and got to talk to people that I haven't talked to in a long time. We smoked a lot of joints and had a lot of laughter. I talked to some more people I haven't seen in forever, and it was fucking fun. Then I walked Geraint home. If he hadn't gotten sick and I didn't feel nauseous, it probably would have been a lot more fun, but I still liked it though. We laughed and stumbled, and I wished we could have just passed out somewhere, but he got really sick, so I walked him home and then started home myself. I got a ride from some guy named Chad and Ryan. I don't know, nice guys, I guess. They said they'd give me a ride anytime if I needed it, and winked. Nothing like walking home by yourself when you're 16 and your boyfriend's throwing up in a bush and getting a ride from a strange, creepy dude. Right? Am I right? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, so that, I think it just kind of like summarizes a lot of our dynamic, and it was just this constant struggle between us. More, I guess, the struggle that I had internally was, it felt a lot bigger than like the struggle that him and I were having face to face, but it was just a lot of unhealthy relationship dynamics at play. A lot of, like I said before, stonewalling, a lot of silent treatment, passive aggressiveness, a lot of wounded attachment styles, a lot of anxiety, a lot of avoidance. And it just plays out for many, many entries, and they're kind of hard to read. And they're pocketed with going to parties and laughing and reconnecting with friends and learning to drive. And at this point in time, my relationship with my sister is a little bit strained, and my mom is working in the States and essentially living in Arizona. I don't mention my dad very much in this journal because I think he's pretty much M.I.A. Like, he's around, but he's not present. So in some ways it feels like this relationship is like the only thing I have. And I mean, we all know how dangerous that can be. Another entry that don't know if disturbed me is the right word, but just made me feel really low is April 19th. In the morning, Gert came up to my locker and gave me a huge kiss. We stood by our lockers talking, and I don't know, all of a sudden he just got all weird. I asked what was wrong, and he said nothing, and basically just walked away. Between first and second period, he didn't say a word to me. I went to lunch miserable. I pissed off my friends because I was so miserable. The day went slow, and I didn't see him again. Then I went on his bus to go see Katie after school. We didn't speak on the bus. On the walk to his/Katie's, we barely spoke, and the silence was killing me. I don't understand how just yesterday you told me how much you loved hanging out with me, how much you love me, and today you won't even talk to me. So as we approached his house and I walked past his driveway, I said to him, bye, real quiet, and almost started to cry. This was a weird moment for me. I was really honestly thinking, does he like seeing me sad? And I found myself wondering if this would be what ruins us. But then he ran after me and grabbed my wrist and covered my eyes and gave me a huge sorrowful hug. And at that moment, everything was okay. I tell him later, I say, it just makes me absolutely miserable when I think you're mad at me. He says, I know, I'm sorry. And I say, I'm so glad you ran after me today. Then he kissed me, and it turned into a steamy makeout session. It was really good, and everything was good again. Yeah. Like I said, like some of these are hard to read. The next couple days it's 420, which was a big deal when I don't know if it's still a big deal for kids, but it was a big deal then. And I start journaling a lot about the pot plants I'm trying to grow and being stoned at school. And it's just more of me being absolutely obsessed with Gert. April 23rd, I found myself missing Gert so much today. I thought of him literally almost every second of the day. We had a lot of fun today, and it was a perfect day all around with him. Then I got home, and I missed him, and I called him. Can I come over? I miss you. So now I'm waiting for him to come pick me up so I can lie with him and fulfill this feeling of needing to be with him. Remember what I said earlier about how we were constantly getting busted? And if you listen to my last episode, my last solo episode, I shared the story of like his parents literally walking in on us when we were in the crawl space of his house. So then the crawl space was no longer safe. So when we started having sex, we started literally sneaking into the shed in his backyard, which is super embarrassing. And this excerpt is, this goes down in history as like, what a fucking moment. We walked back to his house and snuck into his shed. We got right into things, and even though I felt like making him wait, I didn't. We had played a game of pool earlier, and whoever lost had to be on top, I think was the deal. Then I had to go to the washroom, so we were going to sneak inside so I could go. And then, big surprise, his fucking alarm went off. It was so loud. He just looked at me and screamed, "Deke!" And we bolted it out of there. I don't know if I've ever sprinted so fast. We were then stuck because all my stuff was still in the shed, my bra included. So he did some crazy James Bond moves and stole them back without getting caught. literally rolled around on his, what is it? Oh, a backyard ground. Haha, it was crazy fun, considering all things considered. We actually laughed about it and kissed as we were scared as hell. It was such a good memory. I'm just like laughing, thinking that is, I don't know, it just seems so ridiculous. And oh yeah, the things you risk, you know, for a good time. There's 2 more entries that I must get through in this diary. It's kind of a short diary, but one is prom. So I am a sophomore. I am in 10th grade, and I'm going to prom because my boyfriend is graduating. And my sister's also graduating. So I never asked her how she felt about her little sister going to her prom, but we had a really good time. My mom actually made both of our dresses. I was going for like a hippie fairy look, and I had this like green band around my, like as like a bralette, and then my mom sewed like sheets of green fabric out of it, so it kind of looked, I mean, pixie fairy hippie girl is like the only way to describe it. So prom 2004. So far, prom has been 100% the best it could have been. I love Gert so much. I love how absolutely in love we are. That's how I start the entry. So obviously we had a good time. Getting ready was easy, not nerve-wracking or intense. I left the house in $5 sandals, my homemade dress, fairy makeup, and my hippie hair down. Jenny and I got our pictures taken and left even though it was pouring rain. We drove to Gert's first. I rang his doorbell, and for some reason it took him forever to come to his door. I was nervous, worried he may not like my dress. He came to the door with the biggest smile on his face. I went into his house. "You lied," he said, because I told him my dress was purple. I joked. "Are you mad?" "Of course not," he said. "You're my green queen." We went to his room and he got dressed. He was wearing the nicest outfit, green dress pants, a white button-up, and my favorite green jacket of his. He looked so cute, very jumpable. We made out for a long while, and it would have been lovely to have sex before prom, but we had no condoms, and we did other stuff, but it turns out he was a little too rough on me. I broke something, he said. I got upset and went to the washroom and sat on the floor and almost cried. He came and told me that it didn't matter. I can't believe I'm so lucky to have a guy that is so comforting even when I'm crying over little girly problems. Like, not a little girly problem when someone makes you bleed. Anyways, our ride was late, but eventually Bennett came and it was all good. Bennett said I looked hot, and Fraser said, "Holy shit, do you ever look like a hippie?" We went to dinner. We went to the dinner beforehand, but before we went in, we all decided to take shrooms. Fraser and Gert were on a lot more than I was, and I was pretty stoned, so I can only imagine how much they were tripping out. Gert was so funny at dinner. Then the prom started. It was a really down to earth mood. You could basically go anywhere in the hotel. There was a dance soon, then there was a dance room, then a bunch of hallways, then a bar and a couch area. We went to the bar for a long while, got kicked out, and they were pretty good about letting anyone get drinks. Terrible idea to host a prom at a hotel. This part of prom lasted a few hours. The whole time me and Gert were together, walking around, talking to people, and tripping out. We had so much fun just wandering around. My favorite events were when we saw this empty room, totally empty, no windows, dark. He walked in and I followed him, and I was just looking at him in his green outfit, looking so cute with his big pupils. I ran up behind him and just hugged him and gave him a big kiss. My other favorite was when we danced. We walked into the dance and he just grabbed my wrist and said, "Dance with me, baby." We made out on the dance floor and it was so natural and comfortable and fun. We laughed and twirled and held each other tight, and I swear to God, we were the luckiest people on the whole damn dance floor. Lots of people were leaving or getting too drunk. Amanda was crying because she was having a bad trip. I felt bad for her. Fraser looked really good. And I know he was, what does that say? Oh, was nice to Jenny. We left and drove back to Thorndale with Bennett. Then we went to Fraser's and drank a few beers and smoked a big fat joint and barbecued. Okay. Then me and Gert went back to his house and snuck into his shed. So hippie of us. We lied down and he was really tired and coming off the shrooms. And so was I. He asked me if I was okay to fuck. I just told him I wasn't sure, so we didn't do anything. I felt bad because it's prom, his prom. Then to make matters worse, I passed out early. Well, 3-ish. Yeah, because 3 a.m. is so early. We woke up at 8 and decided since his parents were gone, we went inside and lay on his bed. It was nice being there with him. We lied there and kissed, and it was nice and mellow. Then he made me a grilled cheese the fancy way, and we watched Family Guy, and he played me a song on his mandolin. Fabulous evening. That's hilarious. Oh my God. It's so crazy thinking how I went to my own prom 2 years later, and so different, like completely different night, which I'll get to later. Okay, the last entry in this journal is 100% one of the most epic things that I have ever done. And instead of reading the entry, I want to tell you the story because I love telling this story, because it makes me feel like a badass, like a total badass and a total bitch. So at this point in the journal, Gurnt and I have been dating for 7 or 8 months. We've professed our love. We are fucking like bunnies and fighting all the time. I haven't seen my friends in months. I am smoking weed, so much weed every day. He's dealing drugs. And so the entry starts with me going to the mall with a friend of mine, Mel, and I bought a green skirt. And if you've been following along, Gurnt and I are like obsessed with the color green. All we want to do is wear green because it's like the color of marijuana or whatever. And we have these like matching, they're not supposed to be matching, but we both have like essentially the same like army green colored coat. And I'm just thinking back to like, oh my God, like we probably look like brother and sister more than anything. So it's like summer, like we just had prom. So like we're heading into summer, and I buy this green, I'll call it a mini skirt, a green mini skirt at the mall with Mel. And Mel is like completely encouraging me to buy it. She's saying, oh my God, you look so cute, and Gurnt's gonna love it. And it's functional, you know, it's got pockets. I know what shirt I'm gonna wear it with. It's super cute. And it's a mini skirt, like it's probably, oh, there's my doggo. I mentioned we might have some audio stuff with my doggo. She's just coming to hear the story. Are you coming to hear the story? Yes, you are. So it's, between my knee and my thigh. And I just, I think the next day, so Gurn had just got his driver's license and was kind of like borrowing his parents' car to drive to school some days. Like it was maybe 2 or 3 days a week. He would pick me up for school and we'd drive to school together. And we would just like smoke joints the whole drive to school. And so this was one of the mornings where he's picking me up for school. And I decide that I'm going to wear my green skirt because it's like warm enough out that I can wear a short skirt. And I believe I was wearing it with like either sandals or flats or maybe even sneakers. So I get out of the house and I walk down the couple steps and he sees me and I think he's going to be completely impressed with my outfit and just like wanna like fuck me right there. And I'm also like, I bought this for you. He looks at me with disgust and says that there is no way you're wearing that to school. And I say, you're absolutely right. And I go back inside. Instead of changing, I take a pair of scissors and I cut off a good, I'm going to say inch and a half, 2 inches of the skirt. So now it's gone from a mini skirt to like a micro skirt. It's barely covering me. I cut a band of material off and then I go back outside and say, I'll be taking the bus to school. Again, one of the most badass bitchy things I've ever done. And I love to tell that story. It is the first time I've told him off and chosen myself. I did go to school in the micro skirt and was very uncomfortable for the entire day and got called down to the office and they were like, your skirt's too short. And I was like, I know, but listen to my story. And then I ended up having to go home anyways because my skirt was in fact too short. But that's not the point. The point of the story is that I'm starting to, the fact that Gurnt is trying to control me and be possessive of me is starting to wear on me. And the next journal for sure, and maybe the one after that is going to be the reckoning of that. Obviously, it's no secret we break up, but it takes us some time to get from where we're at here to us being over. So I'll be sharing about that next week, but that wraps up this episode. Thank you so much for being here. Again, mothers, lock up your sons. And yeah, I'm really stoked to be back and I can't wait to record the next episode and share more stories with y'all. Okay, everybody, have an amazing week. And again, if you are somebody who wants to build your writing practice, I help writers finish books and work on their writing projects every single day. You can reach me at yoda@thedoulaofwords.com or www.doulaofwords.com. Thanks, everybody. Big love.